LJ?
Yeah?
I really want to see the new recap review. Where can I go?
Well, I'll tell you, little Johnny. If you head on over to vessel.com/the TTV channel, you'll find all of our content, recap reviews, mock spotlights, and more, on Vessel a week early. That's right, a full 7 days before we release it on YouTube. Not only that, but content from tons of other creators all across the internet. In order to access it, you need to sign up for early access, which is only $3 a month. It's a really great deal, and it helps us create better, higher quality content that gets you guys in on the loop a whole week early.
Wow! I'm gonna go sign up right now!
You do that, little Johnny. You do that.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, sync. Hello, everybody. I'm Meso.
I'm Mickey Mouse. I mean, Bark.
I don't know where to go from that. I'm just Kahi.
And this is TTV Talks.
Wait, is Ben not going to be on?
Yeah, I was gonna say, is Ben here? I thought Ben was gonna be here.
No, yeah, Vin bailed out.
Wow.
Like a bailing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, when did he do that?
He was like, I'm gonna mute too.
What the
We
heck,
were
Ben?
like,
Are you kidding me?
Shout out to our friend Vin.
We lost another member of the House of Mouse.
Why?
Why was this a thing tonight?
This
Hey,
isn't gonna make any
This,
sense.
this is
anyway.
what happens when we record TTV Talks a little later than usual.
Yeah,
We gotta-
we're loopy. We're just like sitting around doing stuff. Oh boy,
That's
so
not Goofy. That's Goofy.
Okay,
how's everybody doing this week of ours?
that's not that funny now.
I've
How's
hijacked
life
this.
treating you?
It's pretty good, Meso. It's great.
Thank you.
How's
yeah.
life been for you, Meso?
Life's been good. Been watching the E3 streams, having fun, marveling at my
Aw,
internet's
Treehouse.
ability to actually. It's funny because like we were watching the Microsoft press conference. They announced Halo Wars 2 beta, and I immediately went to go download it. 13 gigs. I give my internet a lot of flack all the time, but it was able to handle live streams all that day while downloading, and it didn't buffer once. So maybe it's not as bad as I thought it was.
That's nice.
Yeah,
Sounds
because like
good
all
for
the major
you.
E3 streams were consolidated into basically one day, so it was just a non-stop barrage of live streams.
Which is interesting. I remember when it used to be several days. I'm kind of glad to do it in one day now. I can just kind of like, you know.
Mostly one day. EA and Bethesda
Yeah, it
came
was-
out
Yeah, you know, can't have them all. Nintendo's doing
mean,
their stream, which has
You just
been
claimed
really
that there was them all.
the floor. Nintendo's not doing a stream. They're a sham.
What?
A charade.
They're doing a stream.
It's in the loosest sense of the word.
No.
They may be doing a literal stream.
Wait,
but isn't
are they doing a
really an
stream? I thought
E3
they already-
conference.
Yeah,
They-
I thought they already did their thing.
They don't have a panel. They don't have like a conference, but they have a stream. They have more. No one else has a stream outside of like
They're
YouTube.
posers.
No.
They're shells of their former
Listen,
selves.
you can say that they didn't have a conference and therefore they're posers. You can't say they don't have a stream. That's the literal thing they have. No one else has a stream. They have a stream.
misspoke.
I'm just happy to be here, audience.
Yeah, I just want to have fun here. Talk about
Happy
video
Mickey Mouse
games.
isn't here.
So, yeah, basically, in case you didn't figure, we're probably going to talk about E3. We're going to do a rundown. There were, how many? 5? And I get 5.5 conferences, counting Nintendo.
Don't count
all
Nintendo.
throughout
They did not have a
the
conference.
week. All throughout the week of E3 2016. And I figure, let's give our thoughts on each one. Let's start from the top with everybody's
Sony
favorite
won.
EA. Yeah, Sony won. Spoiler
Yeah,
alert.
there you go.
But,
I could skip that segment already.
starting from the top, EA. What did you guys think about EA?
Oh, sports, guys.
Anything.
Sports.
It was
You
better
get,
than
Anything
last.
at all.
get the ball
Under the
and
sun.
and the
Catch
goal.
your interest.
It was better than last year's EA conference, that's for sure. All I got out of their conference this year, though, I kid you not, the only thing I got out of this was managers. We've added managers, everybody.
That was so
Get hyped.
great.
Did they just drop the mic with that one? Oh man, managers! Finally in FIFA. I've always wanted managers in my soccer games. I mean football games. Sorry.
My favorite part was when they kept cutting in between different stuff, like they were streaming the conference both to the US and the UK, because like of the FIFA audience, and they kept cutting in between the conferences, and they did this like after every reveal to go see what the UK audience was thinking. And of course with FIFA there was pop, but like with Madden they were like, so what does everybody think? And like the crowd was stone-faced, because like nobody cares about Madden.
Of course
Wait,
not.
I
It
didn't.
was great.
They were cutting. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, they had this dude, Peter Moore, I think his name was. It was in 2 separate locations. They were streaming to like 2 different countries. And
I
it was
didn't
really
know
weird
this.
because sometimes they cared and other times they were just like, how's the crowd doing? Yay!
How did I not notice that? That's interesting.
Because the presentation was terrible.
Huh.
It's basically this conference
Yeah.
in a nutshell. Yes, they had a few cool things. I'm a huge fan of Titanfall. Loved seeing Titanfall 2. Mass
That was the
Effect
only
guy,
good thing. They opened up
Mass-
with their only good thing.
Mass Effect, Sky, fine, promises, it's coming, sure. And, Battlefield 1, looking good. But, like, the presentation of the conference was beyond dreadful.
You know what I really wanted to see
Which
from
is every year.
from Mass Effect?
What?
I would really wanted to see
Gameplay?
I really wanted to see a guy working on Mass Effect. That's what I really wanted. I want to see a guy with like a MacBook.
I can't believe
a MacBook
after
just,
2
like,
years,
drawing
2 years
a
of
model.
E3, 2 years of E3 where they've promised us this game. In both years, we've just gotten a logo and a bunch of guys drawing on their little screens.
Dude, I
It's
love
pretty
like I want to see
unbelievable.
another guy with a screensaver that looks like it's space related. That's what I really want to see from
Some
EA.
vague like space screenshots of some unknown planet that probably won't be in the final game.
There were 1 or 2 tiny half-second long clips, and they did look good graphically.
They did
from what
look
I can
good.
say.
Graphically.
I mean, the game looked
But-
good. We already know it's running on the Frostbite engine.
Yeah, Frostbite
so
is
like,
amazing.
Yeah.
and we already knew it was gonna look good. I want to see what the game will actually be like, though. All I've gotten
Yeah.
so far is that it's in space. There's a Normandy-esque ship, and there's an Asari and a Krogan.
Oh, and it's,
Wow,
her name's
so
Ryder.
many new things.
Her name's
They
Ryder.
brought
Her
back
name is-
to Mako.
They
The
confirmed.
protagonist is named Ryder.
Yeah,
Oh, I did not know that. Where did we hear about that?
Twitter.
BioWare interviews. I think
It was
I think
Twitter.
I got an interview about it.
No, it's Twitter.
Whatever. Fair enough. But it was definitely said. The default character this time around is Fim Rider, I guess, instead of Male Shep will be the marketing for the game. And
Fim
yes,
Rider.
I believe,
Maybe they'll get
Yeah.
a different. I mean, they have different voice actors for these characters. Obviously, maybe they'll have a.
I'm sure they'll have character customization.
Maybe it'll
If
be
they
a
did,
male.
it'd be
A
downgrade.
male voice actor isn't as bland.
Maybe. No offense to Mark Meer, but
Oh, he's not a
Could've chosen
bad
a bit
voice
more
actor.
dynamic,
He's just
too.
like
It wasn't bad. He was just like, I mean, I don't know. I felt like the female voice actress was
Jennifer
far
Hale.
superior.
Was it Jennifer Hale?
Yeah, it was Jennifer Hale, I believe. Yeah.
Really brought it there.
the theme
Yeah.
of Mass Effect Andromeda, from what we can tell, is you're basically a pioneer. You're going through a new uncharted galaxy. You are the alien, and you're like colonizing and setting up stuff
Yeah,
in
but-
other worlds.
I'm
like-
I'm still a little confused as to why if we're in a completely new galaxy, why there are
Yep.
similar
Yep.
alien races than the ones we already saw.
Because
It's a little odd.
I was watching Total Biscuit's Snarkathon commentary of E3, the conferences that he does every year, where he just goes through them and comments on stuff, and he was like, why would they ditch their rich lore, where they had all these different alien species that they built up over 3 games for a new universe? People seem to love their races. Why would they do this? And then he was like, oh, there's a Krogan. Why is there a Krogan?
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know why.
Why is there an
I
Asari?
have
It's like,
no idea.
I mean, I would love to
figured-
give them the benefit of the doubt and be like, they know what they're doing. But like, once again, it's been 2 years now of 2 E3 conferences where we haven't been shown nothing.
BioWare does
Nothing
not
of
get
substance.
What was the
benefit of
last
the
thing we
doubt.
got? Mass Effect 3's ending. So
Yes,
Right.
everybody has a bad taste in their mouth. with
And then what was
BioWare.
that? Like,
want
didn't they
to be
lose like
shown
half the
something.
writers too? Like, didn't half the writers
yeah,
quit or
a lot of
something?
the writers
Yes.
quit.
I believe the reason we have not seen much is because development is probably tumultuous. People leaving left and right, getting replaced. I'd find it difficult to believe things are going smoothly, basically, and I'm even more hard-pressed to believe it's going to come out in winter of 2017. That seems implausible. Probably summer or fall.
Mass Effect is like one of those franchises that literally never stuck the landing. That was the only problem with it. It did really well in execution going from 1 to 2 to 3, and it did not stick the landing, and that ruined the franchise.
For some people. Some people have been able to brush it under the rug.
I
no,
feel
no.
like the ending was probably a controversy that was kind of blown out of proportion. But
No, I mean, like, that's what I'm saying.
It definitely was.
I'm not saying,
But
like,
it was deservedly so.
as a game or an enjoyment. I'm saying that as a franchise, the reason why Mass Effect is not as touted as it should be, is because that ending has kind of ruined it. It's given us this stigma. It's given it, like, this thing when it comes to the writer's room. That's why,
It certainly
taking
has,
so long to get around
definitely
to
in
it.
the eyes of the public.
Right. That's why they're so careful this time around, making sure stuff can get out.
Definitely, if that's what they need to do. If it's gonna make it a better game, I don't care. I would love a world where, like, we didn't have an information blowout, like, all the time and just have some surprises left. So if they want to keep it under wraps, fine. It's just annoying, like, waiting 2 years, expecting it to be here.
Yep.
Only to see documentaries every year.
Yeah.
It's like...
Yeah,
speaking of documentaries, listen, E3, we get it. There are people that make games. They have fancy little computers with pens. We use them here at our job, too. We get it. I'm tired of seeing it. I'm tired of
so
seeing the
sick of it.
freaking tablet Cintiqs that everybody wants to showcase when they should be showcasing their game. I'm tired of it. Please stop
I'm
it.
also tired of people like
Hashtag
the
Sony.
documentaries never tell us anything. It's people
They're
going
great.
like, "This game is, I'm telling you, it's going to be incredible. We've been working so hard on
Right,
it."
it's the
That's
same
why
thing.
that-
It's the same thing for every game that does this.
That's why I loved Sony.
Really
They didn't
pushing.
do that.
Oh,
but
okay.
spoiler.
Let's save Sony for last. I'm
Yeah.
glad Sony was last because it was such a great note to end it on. But let's keep going.
EA, I definitely think, was better in terms of announcements than last year. I would say the presentation was arguably worse because last year, the conference as a whole... Yeah, I definitely the presentation. They showed like 3 games that people wanted to see, and they showed barely... The only game that actually had a gameplay demo was Titanfall 2. And
I mean, they only showed like 3 games last year
in the
too.
trailer.
It was just.
True, but we got gameplay for those. Didn't we have a Battlefront demo and Mirror's Edge Catalyst gameplay demo as well? And what was the other one?
I do not believe we had a Mirror's
We
Edge
did not
demo.
have a Mirror's Edge. No.
In that case, then fair enough.
Yeah, because I remember that being a very,
probably
very
equivalent.
vague. People were just excited that there was going to be a new game.
Right.
Didn't even know that.
And it came out now, and people are like, it's all right.
Yeah. People didn't even know what the gameplay looked like until like not even like that long ago.
Yeah.
So like a couple months.
That's fair.
prior. So yeah.
I don't know. I felt like last year they had that flaw of like they had that dude come out who's like a famous soccer player.
Yeah, see, that's
and
what I'm
talk
saying.
For like 20 minutes. This year I felt like they didn't have that lengthy of a segment, but they had it spread out and just as much time was killed between like hyping up the managers and cutting in between London and the US, and it was just like
No, I didn't think that at all.
entertaining.
Last year's conference was a pain to watch.
It
It
was
felt like
terrible.
I was
That's
getting
true.
things
Last
nailed
year's
into
was
my
painful.
head. It was because they showed us like half a trailer. Well, first they opened up with sports that no one cares about except for casual fans, but fair enough. I mean, the audience is there, but they opened up with that. So they didn't open up strong. They showed us a brief clip of Mass Effect that was basically what we got this year, but like half the length. And
With
then
music.
we didn't get another game until the end of the conference practically. We had to sit for another hour of nothing but sports and that stupid 15-minute long interview with that famous soccer player or whatever who I don't know of. And then we finally got game stuff and it was just title screens basically.
Well, I mean-
we didn't get a demo of Mirror's Edge. We got a title
not
screen
wrong.
of it.
We did.
So it's like, there were basically no games announced last year. It was just a drag. People were just waiting for things to be announced, and they did not deliver at all. At least here, I felt like they were able to sparse it out a bit better. They opened up with a strong game, they gave us a bit of sports stuff, they gave us another game, or a couple more sports stuff, and then they ended it with another game. I thought it was structured better this year.
I mean, sports games are like,
Still
they
cringe.
make a ton of money. Every year, there's a lot of people that love them and like, like all the
They
tweaking
should
goes
do a
into
separate
it.
event.
And really, it's like a thing that like, if your company was able to make a ton of money off basically tweaking the same game a little bit every year, you'd totally do it. And that's what EA is really doing
Of
now.
course.
They're just kind of like,
If there's a market for it, obviously make the games. I just think they should be a separate event. The sports conference, don't crowd E3 with it.
I guess you could say that, but what are they going to fill the hour with?
Right.
They don't have that many
That's
games
true.
they
on
don't have,
sports.
they don't have anything else going into it.
I forgot how they announced, like, oh, we have 3 Star Wars games in development by 3 different studios. Here's absolutely nothing about any of them.
Oh yeah, that was
That was stupid. There was that was another thing that they did with the stupid people and their stupid Cintiq tablets that no one cares about. A whole 3 minutes of nothing. And then we got like a brief, tiny little like demo, I guess, of a dude walking outside.
They did
Who knows what game that was?
Battlefront.
I-
I remember when they announced it, and they're like, oh my god, and they just played the Star Wars theme, and everyone was like, oh, I'm so hyped. And it's a guy, and he's like, man, we've been working on this forever. He's on his Cintiq, and then it cuts to the interior, like Endor, and it's just like trees, and you're like, that's cool, I guess.
Battlefront.
That was it.
Yeah, listen,
Yeah.
we know games can be pretty. We've seen it a million times. We've seen all the demos of these like nice little engine walkthroughs showing us the terrain and everything. We don't need to see that anymore. We already know, we've seen that a million times. We've seen E3 do these incredible showcases where the games don't end up looking anywhere near as close as what they showed before. We don't care how pretty the game is anymore. Just show us the game.
That is basically what it boils down to, yeah. And that's a good way to kind of summarize EA's, I guess. It wasn't great. It wasn't like last year's was probably worse. You break it all down, but I was not
Last
impressed
year's was
with EA's
terrible.
one bit.
Oh my god.
Let's move on. Let's move on
Next
to
up,
the next one.
we
yeah.
got Bethesda, and theirs
Nailed
was
it.
interesting because last year they were crazy with Fallout 4. They had white-hot hype going in with Fallout 4, and this year nobody really knew what to expect from them except for Dishonored 2. And I was skeptical of what they were going to have to present, and they've had a pretty strong lineup, I would say.
Let's be fair. If you aren't invested in Bethesda's IPs, you probably were pretty bored throughout their conference because they didn't really do any huge announcements. There was nothing big or exciting. Dishonored 2 was really their only new IP. They had Prey as well, which was really interesting, but like no one really knows anything about it. And the last time I heard about Prey, it was Prey 2 that got canceled. So this is kind of a
reboot, I think.
A reboot-ish. Yeah, it's like a relaunch of that IP name, that branding, but it's not really the same
Wasn't
name.
Wasn't Prey 2 like a sci-fi? Didn't it have that sci-fi trailer that was really cool?
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about?
It was a very different looking game.
Yeah.
So people don't really know what to expect with this, so it's fair. I feel like if you're not a Bethesda fan, you probably didn't enjoy this conference. With that said, as a Bethesda fan, all the things they announced, man, it was just hit after hit after hit.
Even the card game. Are you hyped
Even the
for that?
maybe not so much the card game. But, I mean, like, all the updates for Fallout 4 look amazing. Fallout 4 going to VR, crazy news.
Yeah,
It has
that's
VR
good. Big news.
VR has been this thing that's sort of been like a concept for a while now. People are starting to buy into it. Cool.
Almost every
Never gripped
conference
me.
showed it off in some capacity.
Yeah.
It is the new thing.
Never gripped me. But now we have our first AAA title announced coming to VR, and it's one of my favorite franchises. Yeah, that was a big announcement to me. And then just a little updates that they had, like adding the new the buildable things for Fallout.
Yeah.
They basically have made Fallout Shelter in Fallout 4 now. That I thought was really cool. You've got conveyor belts and all that stuff. I spent a lot of time, a lot of hours building my own base in Fallout, so that was really cool to see. And then Fallout Shelter is getting a new update as well with a bunch of new stuff, and it's also coming to PC. Awesome.
That is cool. That is very cool.
And then
They announced
Skyrim. Skyrim.
That was the thing that really got me hyped because I never completed Skyrim. It was always
I
left
showed it to my
unfinished because
friends, and their
I got
minds were
so
blown.
immersed in the world, I got lost in side content and never beat the story. This is my chance. I'm gonna beat it finally.
Honestly, like, it looks so good. I love the new water textures. I love how everything looks. It really does look like a graphical upgrade. Some remasters, quote unquote, come out and you're like, oh, this is barely up-resed. A little bit. This actually looks like a almost completely new game, and I'm really glad that they're doing that for Xbox One. Again, like, I showed my friends were so excited for it.
The thing that I'm really hyped about, which I'm not really, it's weird that I'm hyped about it because I'm not going to use it because I've moved on to PC now. But the thing that I think is really, really cool, and I'm glad other people get to use it now, is that Skyrim now has mods. Just like Fallout 4, they're bringing mods to the console. That's just such a cool thing.
Right. Mods really add a lot.
Mods have definitely, like, for the Elder Scrolls, to me, mods have basically defined that series. So it's really cool that consoles get to enjoy that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they also announced Quake Champions. They're bringing back the Quake
Big
franchise, which
thing.
people love. Quake is
Yeah, no,
iconic.
Quake is big.
In the genre. I have never gotten into it myself. I don't even know what it would look like. I've never seen footage of Quake or anything of the kind.
I have.
I've somehow avoided
It's in that
but
era
people
where, like,
love it.
the dark and gritty FPS arena shooter was really big. I thought it was a little generic, to be honest. But
From what I understand, it helped define the FPS.
Yeah,
I know,
I
it
mean,
did. It did. I'm just saying.
It's
as,
generic. It's generic in the same way that, like, Knight Rider is generic.
Right.
It's like it's the trend setter. At the time, it was not generic.
Right.
Everything else is just based off of that concept.
Right.
That's why it seems generic.
Mm-hmm.
But,
And then they announced a bunch of stuff. Elder Scrolls Online getting updates. I've heard conflicting things about that game, but there was this one person in the crowd who loved it. They had pop. She just kept yelling out at the audience every time they said something about it.
That girl was really
That was funny. So evidently some people do like it. And then I may be forgetting one or two items, but the big thing
Doom
really...
had a bid multiplayer update that they're going to be adding with a bunch of new maps. You can add that custom creator thing.
The first level of Doom is currently free, so as a demo of sorts, so I'm going to check that out.
It's crazy that Bethesda was able to it's crazy that Bethesda was able to bring back Doom, one of those early big shooters that really kind of started the franchise or the genre. And then a year later bring back Quake as well. Like those are the two pioneers right there.
Right.
That and Wolfenstein are like those are the big ones.
Right.
So Bethesda has got some really big brands under their
belt
hands right now.
The closing of the conference was a double-edged sword because they showed off Dishonored 2, and on the one hand, I felt like they did the display right. They had everything. They had the people doing a documentary looking at the game. They also had a cinematic trailer. They also had a gameplay demo, and then they also had another gameplay demo with people talking over the game and giving tips. So everything you could want, you got. But at the same time, I feel like it dragged on a little too long.
It was a bit too long,
There wasn't enough stuff grouping in the demonstration to keep someone interested, especially someone like me who's never played the first Dishonored game. It's like people sneaking around.
I watched the Bethesda conference, and it did pale, in my opinion, paled in comparison to last year's. Simply because, one, Fallout 4 hype, and two, Fallout Shelter being released like at that conference. When they showed it and they're like, it's being released right now. And people were like, what? And they went on their phones and it was
it's
like
always great when people do stuff like that.
That was really cool. And so I feel like
there's no way to top that, really.
That's a really great moment from E3. I don't feel like they were able to top that. Obviously not because they released a new free game during the conference. Yeah. But it was still a decent conference.
I definitely thought it was one of the stronger 3 of people out of this.
Let's talk about the other.
It's second place for me.
I'd say the same. So let's do.
All right.
Let's do Microsoft.
Next up was Microsoft. Microsoft, I thought, did a very good job. At the time when I saw the conference, I was like, they did good. And then later when I saw Sony, obviously, I was like, oh well,
did all right.
Rip them. But at the time when I
feel bad for Microsoft.
Microsoft had 2 really big things they had this year. None of the games were particularly mind-blowing.
Yeah, I wasn't blown away by any of the games.
A lot of strong announcements for fans of the franchise's new Dead Rising. It was Dead Rising 4. They had stuff on Scalebound, Forza, Halo Wars 2, beta during the week. Other stuff that eludes me at the moment. They showed off a couple cool games that I personally thought were really cool. Recore, We Happy Few was the standout.
Oh, We Happy Few that was pretty cool.
That was really cool. It had some kind of like BioShock almost ness to it, but like a little more campy. It was really cool.
And then it was hilarious. There was this game called Limbo that came out many years ago. People love Limbo. It's a classic.
Great game.
And they were like, the developers who have made Limbo have made this new game, and it's called Inside, and here's a trailer for it. And it was like 30 seconds of people standing there, and then it cut to a title card, Inside. And they had someone come out on stage and was like, okay guys, listen, I swear, I've played this game. It's the greatest game I've ever played in my life.
Insane.
And then he walked off the stage.
I thought he was going to do like a gameplay demo or something. I was honestly like, okay, so I guess that was just like, kind of an intro thing. We're going to get gameplay, right? No. That was probably like one of the dumbest things I've seen. I probably liked that game. I liked the developers and it looked like interesting. No, it didn't look interesting. I had no idea what I was looking at. It's just people looking in the screen.
you like the developers. I
liked the developers and I think it might be a good game. It was super dumb.
They made Limbo free after the conference, so I've never played it. I'm going to go play it.
I mean, Limbo's been free before for Games for Windows Live, Windows Live, Games for Live, or Gold, whatever the thing is called.
Yeah.
Games for Gold.
Games for Gold.
But I just wanted to point that out because it was a hilarious moment. Microsoft really had 2 big things going in here, and it was Windows 10. Almost every game they showed off, with the exception of like 2, is Xbox One and Windows 10 exclusive. The days of pure Xbox exclusives are rapidly going away because they've mentioned it's part of their new branding. For years now, they've been like, oh, we're trying to integrate PC more into our focus, and everybody's always been skeptical, namely because, remember, games for Windows Live, Windows Live Marketplace, people hated that, but apparently they're doing it. It's happening. Most games are coming to PC.
I'm really happy about it, especially the cross-platform play. Like
Really
being able to
happy
play
about
multiplayer. Like,
Yes.
yeah, being able to play multiplayer with someone on Xbox while you're playing on a PC, great idea.
And they also had a system called Xbox Play Anywhere, where when you buy a game for the console, you also get it for the PC.
On PC.
And I think vice versa.
Amazing idea. Why has that not already been done?
That's
Yes.
so great, because that means next generation I'll only have to buy a PS4.
Honestly, yes. That's,
Oh,
Yeah.
Well,
we don't know, because they also had this thing, these were the biggest thing, the Xbox Scorpio, which had been rumored for a while. PS4 has something in development too.
Knew it
PS4
was
Neo,
coming.
it's gonna be equivalent. It is basically, no matter how much they try to dress it up, basically the next generation of consoles. Because the Xbox One's been out for 3 years now, this isn't coming out till late 2017, so it will be almost a full 4 or 5 years since it came out, which I guess is time. The Xbox 360
really?
lasted for longer than the prior generation did, so I don't know. It's roughly equivalent.
Did the 360 last for like a decade, though?
Yeah, but that was an abnormality.
The
It's not
360
normal
was
for
an anomaly.
consoles to last that long. And I think they're doing it right now with the One because they realized they goofed all their stuff with the launch of the One. It did not fail like the Wii U did. It had enough stuff to sustain itself over the years, but they clearly lost the console war. It's no contest. The PS4 stomped them into the ground, both in terms of sales and also general word of mouth.
Which I will say something. It's interesting to me. I understand the statistics back this up. I just like, it's hard for me to name people that have a PS4. Almost all my friends have Xbox One.
Well, that's because we are a bunch of idiots who decided to buy the Xbox One because
I'm
we're
talking about-
devoted to Halo.
I'm talking about. I was talking about my real life friends who have no
Fair.
devotion to Halo, but they all have Xbox Ones.
You know
I
what it
have
is?
one friend who has a PS4. I think.
You know what it
He
is?
might have sold it.
I believe, if I remember correctly, I saw a statistic where the majority of PS4 owners are actually younger, like middle school, high school kids, basically, that are adopting the PS4 platform. Most of the people with Xbox Ones are like adults who are kind of...
That would really
Makes sense
explain
to
it.
me.
Yeah.
A lot of the games that are released to both, obviously PS4 has some gritty stuff, but the Xbox One does tend to have a lot of franchises that are mature, not so many that are mainly for younger audiences. PS4's had a bunch of crazy stuff over the years, bunch of variety with that console, and also, I remember Keeney, that guy from our group, he wanted to get an Xbox One on the sole premise of, well, if I get this, I'm getting a game console, but I'm also getting a media player, and I'm also getting a TV tuner, and it has this all-in-one capability that makes it an efficient...
None of that stuff
Yeah,
matters
none of-
anymore.
None of that stuff matters.
Here's
But,
what...
He
Here's
was
the
like,
wrong...
I can have one thing in my gaming setup instead of like 4, but nobody's talked about that stuff in years.
Yeah, the mistake Microsoft made was they created this awesome product and they aimed it at the wrong audience.
Right.
They should not have added the Kinect and all this other, like the TV tuner, all this stuff into the Xbox. That was a mistake.
Yeah.
Xbox should have gone to the gamers. What they're working on right now with like the AR stuff that they're doing with HoloLens and everything. That's a great product that could have been mixed in with the Kinect. Kinect should have been a separate thing marketed towards a different audience, more towards general consumers.
Look where we're at today. It's 2016. Where's the Kinect? It's gone. Nobody talks about it. Nobody uses it. No games released for it. No games use it. It's vanished without trace.
Well, Meso, Just Dance 2016 is coming out. Or 2017 is coming out.
My mistake.
And that's gonna
Just
change
Dance.
the dancing game industry forever. Okay, there's another thing that like was really brought to my attention this year. I mean, I've seen it, there's been going on for several years too, but it really got to me this year. I don't know why, but like, on the subject of stuff we're tired of, documentaries, tired of that. Also tired of like, people trying to let's play the game that aren't entertaining. I'm kind
Yeah.
of done with that. Either, like, just show us the gameplay and I'll have his commentary over it, or get professional let's players to do it.
This is something Microsoft did really well for this conference, actually. That I thought they did well. It was a nice, different thing, is where they didn't have someone come out on the stage and demo the product, but for this Pirates game, I forgot the name of it. Sea of Thieves or something like that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Rare's big return.
Rare with Sea of Thieves, something about this game that sold me was that they got gamers,
Right.
a group of people, not someone to come out on the stage to demo it, but instead they just got these people, threw them into the game, without telling them anything and just recorded the footage. And
Yeah,
that
see,
was their trailer
right.
for the game.
There
That
was some
was
overacting,
that
what I'm
sold
but
me
it
on that
did-
game.
That's what I'm
It was-
talking
That
about.
was a fantastic idea.
I was
would love a
I
pirate
was referring to the
simulator.
Minecraft thing. So you're
Oh,
right.
yeah, no,
I forgot.
I know.
Yeah.
The
I'm not-
Minecraft.
Right.
What I'm saying is that they need to stop doing that and instead adopt
Right.
the Sea of Thieves.
I actually kind of
style,
forgot that
because
Sea of
worked.
Thieves was in the Microsoft conference. But
The
yeah,
Minecraft
Sea of Thieves was
thing-
more aligned
Sea
to
of
what I
Thieves was
wanted
excellent.
to get. Yeah.
I loved like Black Flag. I want more pirate games.
Right.
Pirate games are great for me. The Minecraft thing was one of the worst bits I've seen.
It was
during
pretty
the E3
bad.
Group.
Again, you
had these two
so
stupid
many
people coming out. First of all, there's a number of problems I have with it. It's 2016. Minecraft is big. You don't need to dedicate 10 to 15 minutes of your press conference to Minecraft unless you're actually announcing something of substance.
right.
Not, we're going to release the friendly update, which has, like, dedicated servers and,
cross-platform.
friendly stuff, which, admittedly, cross-platform is pretty cool. But, like,
Yeah,
when I think
I know what you
big,
mean. They don't need to
I'm
devote 10 minutes to it. They're
I'm
just
thinking
showing
Minecraft
the same
2 or Minecraft VR releasing this date at this point in time, because they did show off Minecraft VR, but it's Minecraft.
Right.
You don't need a chunk of that at your conference. And then the only thing that was worse than that was like there was a certain segment at EA, but not EA, Ubisoft. But we'll get to that in a bit.
Right.
Microsoft with the Scorpio is how they closed it out. They're saying it's the most powerful gaming console ever, and they threw around terms like teraflop. I don't know what that means. What's a teraflop?
Never heard of
No.
that term before.
I've heard of
I'll
it.
be honest.
Is it a processing?
It's like
thing?
yeah, basically. It's
Okay.
a
Does
unit
6
of computing
teraflops sound
speed.
impressive to you?
Like
Here's the thing.
yeah, I mean okay, here's the thing. I don't think in terms of teraflops. So I mean,
Yeah,
I can
here's the
acknowledge
thing,
that
like-
the computer can calculate stuff really quickly, but it doesn't stood out to me as like, whoa, that's a teraflop? Oh.
Right. Once again, it was just another thing where they had a bunch, like, stupid interview where they had a bunch of footage with people working on their stupid little computers and their stupid little Cintiqs, and they didn't show us anything of substance. They just said, they just used all these big buzzwords. They gave us terms that no one understands to make it sound impressive. But the thing is, they're making these bold claims that this console is going to be the strongest, greatest console in the world or whatever, the most powerful system ever. We haven't seen Sony's console yet. The last time you made these claims, Sony kicked your butt. So maybe instead of making these claims,
man.
how about you actually show us what it can do?
No,
Concrete
instead of
thing.
showing us here, you're showing people that are talking about how cool it is, and then a computer chip with 4K written on it. Awesome.
That was my
Right.
thing. I was
Awesome.
like, they're making claims
So
that will
great.
support games in 4K and VR and all sorts of stuff. But like your last
Where are the
console,
benchmarks?
your last console that you made couldn't even handle constant 1080p and 60 FPS. How am I supposed to believe that the next console will handle 4K?
Right.
Right.
At what cost? Like, how will this all... They could have been like, we messed up with the Xbox One, let's spend the next 4 years working on the big thing. I'm not doubting that, but I almost feel like they announced it perhaps a little too early to try to get it out before Sony's, to try to one-up them in a way.
Yeah.
But it was not necessarily ready to be shown, so they've left people feeling empty,
Yeah.
I think,
Well,
is what it is.
one part of it I can see as a benefit to them is that now that they've announced it, they've gone ahead and from the trailer, what I assume is that they've made it available to developers now. That's
Yes, that
that's
was
something
the point.
Sony hasn't done yet. And I think that's the big selling point for
Right.
announcing it so soon is that now developers will have a chance to actually build games for it when it's ready to ship, so that we won't have those stupid launch titles that we always have. Instead, we're actually going to have real
but
games for it.
I feel like we just got out of like the dual generation thing where we're like people are making games for
We
the
did.
360 and the one, and we literally just got out of that, and now we're gonna have to deal with that again like next year.
Because
Well-
they did specifically mention that, and it was really odd to me, that part of the same console family, like you play a game Xbox One, it'll run on the Scorpio, vice versa, I think was implied, although never explicitly stated. So, are we going to get like one version of the game is going to run at 4K and look great,
Yeah, okay.
the other version of the game is going to look terrible and run at like 20 FPS? Like,
This
how
is actually the biggest criticism I have for this idea because I don't understand it.
I don't understand it either.
Here's the issue that we have with games right now, right?
Right.
We have these incredibly powerful PCs, these awesome master race machines that people like to claim, whatever, that people that develop video games that can make these crazy games for the PC. But here's the claim, is that the reason games aren't as good as they are, or as good as they can be, is because developers are having to make sure that the game can run on the lower performing consoles, right?
Yeah.
So obviously the solution would be to make this great, cool, awesome console that can stack up against the PC so the developers can make this great game as powerful as it can be. Makes sense. That's what they've done with the Scorpio. But then they completely reverted that by saying, oh, and also it's still going to be compatible on the flawed, underpowered, and terrible console that we released before. So how does that work? How does this fix anything now? Now we just have another PC. We have the stupid Steam box now. What does it actually do?
Steam box.
Yeah, it's just a Steam box now.
No, okay, here's the
I don't know.
deal. The whole deal with consoles is that it is a PC. That really what it is it's a standardized PC, right? Everyone owns a freaking Xbox One, and if you're a developer, one of the things you do with optimization is that you cut all these corners in your code to make it work with the Xbox One or with the PS4. That's why, like, games come out for consoles, is because they know if it works on one Xbox One, it'll work on every single other Xbox One. And they only need to devote time to making sure that's done. PC, why do the games not come out for PC? Because you have all these other parts, graphics cards, all this different stuff going to all different sorts of PCs. Everyone builds their PC differently. People who are, gaming in the game do their PCs differently. So that's why it's harder for them to do. Now, what they're doing with this new Scorpio, whatever, that is really like undercutting what should be done with the consoles. Because if you're just doing an up-res Xbox One, you're not doing anybody any favors. No one can develop for a machine that's currently,
that's the thing.
right
Who
now.
is this for?
It's like for a machine that's made 5 years ago.
It doesn't actually solve
To be
anything.
fair, wasn't what they said about like always working? Isn't that about the Xbox like One S, not the Scorpio?
They did a triangle to connect all three while we were talking about that.
Yeah, all three consoles. The games that are going to be developed for the Scorpio are meant to work on all three consoles.
Oh my god. Okay. All right. Okay.
That's
fine.
what I don't understand. I don't understand
I'm
how they're going to do that.
Yeah. No.
Without, like, if they're going to do that, what was the point of making a new console to begin with? What does this actually solve?
Right.
Because the games are still going to be developed to run on these lower end on the lower end hardware.
Right.
So we're not advancing anything.
Right.
We're just stuck where we were.
Right.
Yep. So all in
yeah.
all, that's really the Microsoft conference. It was certainly good. They had a plethora of announcements, but at the end of it, more questions than answers. Going forward.
Okay. Again, the thing that really got me is that literally every single YouTuber has done a Minecraft Let's Play. Everyone knows Minecraft. Get professional people. Rooster Teeth was there at freaking E3. Just get Achievement Hunter for like 10 minutes
Minecraft
to come out.
Awkwardly talk.
Just get Gavin and Jeff, all these people who actually do this stuff live, who have done this stuff, like, this is their career to do this stuff. Have them do that instead of having your stilted, like, whatever performance.
It was terrible. The Minecraft people were so awkward.
What if they were Let's Players?
If they were, they should quit their job or whatever. I thought they were Mojang employees, to be honest with you.
No, they might be. I don't know.
I have no clue. Either way, that was Microsoft. Good, not great. More questions than answers. Looking forward to hearing what their concrete plans are going forward. Next up was Ubisoft. Ubisoft had very, very little that actually significantly interested me, but what they did have looked good. The standouts were, there wasn't even a contest. Watch Dogs 2, For Honor.
That's awesome.
And Ghost Recon Wildlands. All three of those looked neat, but Watch Dogs 2,
Watch Dogs 2
best
easy.
of the bunch.
Watch Dogs 2 looks fantastic. With that said, it is Ubisoft. Ubisoft has a habit of having these really awesome looking games that end up being stilted, buggy, crappy nonsense when you actually get your hands on them. So I will reserve my judgment until the game's actually out.
Yeah, but like,
with that said, the promises are cool. It looks like a cool concept. I hope it comes out.
Watch Dogs
like
1 was like, it was like a beta test, kind of. It was like a proof of concept game. I
and
felt.
so was Assassin's Creed 1,
Right.
and now look at Assassin's Creed. It's like
Right.
a crazy franchise. So, I mean, it can
And
work.
now Assassin's Creed is going to become a movie, and so is Watch Dogs.
Which was crazy. That was weird. And that's a very bold announcement to make. You're going to make a movie when you don't even know if your first movie is going to succeed, especially after literally every video game coming off of Warcraft failing.
Yeah,
Every video game movie, it's been a flop.
Especially for a franchise that people do not love yet. Your first
Right.
game didn't cause a great fandom, it was divisive.
Right.
So. I don't know.
Right. It's I do feel like Watch Dogs 2 has solved. They really paid attention to a lot of the problems that Watch Dogs 1 had, and they're
More interesting looking world, more dynamic and varied gameplay, and an interesting protagonist. Dude.
Right.
Interesting protagonist, better character designs, color for
a lot
once.
more color. The parkour looked really awesome. I actually really enjoyed that gameplay
That
demo they
parkour
showed.
looked way better than Assassin's Creed's parkour, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I could see these characters. I would follow the story of these characters. I really disliked Watch Dogs 1 story because it was so boring.
Aiden Pierce is such a lame
Such
person.
a terrible, anyhow. Can we just, let's skip over Ubisoft because they didn't really do anything.
No,
right?
they had a couple things to comment, like For Honor, they had that dude with the beard and the epic voice.
Oh,
talking
that
about
dude,
that.
okay.
That was
I
good,
forgot about
yeah.
him. He was born to make that game. Remember we were talking about, I was like, man, that guy's living his
you're like,
dream.
This guy looks like he's exactly where he wants to be.
For Honor looks like it could be fun. It could also fall into the Rise Son of Rome trap, where it's like repetitive gameplay that's meant to be visceral and brutal and whatever, but you just do the same thing over and over and it gets dull because the guy playing the demo didn't know how to play the game and he kept missing every parry or blocking or not blocking the attacks.
That was really
properly.
frustrating.
So maybe the actual gameplay flow will be there. I don't know. South Park was there. South Park was hilarious.
South Park was good.
South
Stick
Park
of
was
Truth
right.
is a really great game, so I'm sure this will be a great
Yeah, I
game
looked at
too.
parroting superhero movies. That was funny.
They announced Division DLC, and I was like, I like the Division, but the end game folded upon itself and caused, if Reddit is to be believed, Reddit statistics, a 93% drop in its player base. So I don't really know how well your DLC plan's gonna go if you can't even manage the content that's already in the game. So,
Yeah.
we'll see about that. I'll probably beta test it. Star Trek VR, they had LeVar Burton come out and sell that game like he was born to do it.
Yeah,
Plugged
dude.
the heck out of
I
that.
LeVar
was like-
Burton, man.
I thought, alright, this game looks alright. And then LeVar Burton's, I'm like, I want to play this game so
he
badly.
was so happy about it. He's so excited that I wanted to be as excited as him. It was
Yeah.
great.
Love LeVar
They
Burton.
they also had this weird thing. They said, okay, so last year at E3 we announced this game called Grow Home. And
Literally,
like-
none of us remembered it. We were like, "What? When did they do that?"
And I was like, well, guess what? It's getting a sequel. This time he's not. He was like, he's not just growing home. He's growing up.
we were like,
What?
I was like,
It's
I
the
was
greatest
halfway through
quote
the thing, I
ever.
was like, so what's it like working on a game that nobody's interested in? What's it like working on the game that nobody cares about? That's
Grow
cruel,
home.
but it's true.
Yeah,
I don't give a crap about that game. Alright,
I don't understand. And that was basically Ubisoft. They had a couple other things, nothing of much merit.
let's talk about the rock star of this entire...
Kojima. I mean, Sony. I mean,
Sony from start to finish was just
Okay, let's get this out of the way.
bombshell.
The orchestra was an
That was so
amazing
cool!
idea.
that
it was
made
so
that
awesome.
conference. That was
Yeah.
whoever's idea was it to bring a live orchestra into the freaking show. Give that man a promotion or a woman, because that was great.
Hearing that music as the conference was going on, I was like, this is amazing. I could only imagine
so
the people
hype, dude.
there would be like, and they're like, there's also a choir there too. There was a choir singing the stuff. It was incredible.
Every single thing, it set the mood so perfectly. Literally the only thing that faltered during that entire conference was Crash Bandicoot, because people wanted a new game and all they got was remasters and
Yeah, that was
Skylanders.
really
No,
funny.
the thing that really, yeah, I remember hearing that. That was kind of like,
The guy came out and he was like, Crash Bandicoot. Suddenly everybody's screaming, like going, what? Loudest screaming I heard.
Skyland.
Sans for Kojima. And then he's like, Crash Bandicoot Skylander update. And then crowd was silent.
Right.
Everybody just stopped. It
they
was
did a
great.
cool thing too, where he walked on stage and his shadow was Crash Bandicoot. I don't know how they did that.
Right.
That
Yeah.
was cool.
They teased it so much for such a
It
lame
has
announcement.
it has to be a test, though, to see how much interest there still is in
Oh,
Crash.
you saw in the audience, people were like, what, is this happening? Is this happening right now?
Yeah.
Like, people were standing up, taking photos and stuff.
I definitely believe there have been talks about making new games, and they're just not certain if one would have mainstream appeal. So they're using this stuff, remasters and stuff, as a way to test the market.
Yeah, I mean, it
So-
seems like it. It seems like they're really, for whatever reason, it seems like they're really pushing Crash recently. I don't know if, spoiler alert, but Uncharted has, a few Crash Bandicoot references
Right.
in it.
Yeah.
So it seems like they're kind of trying to make or remind people of Crash Bandicoot again. So
Right.
it seems like
Kind of like what
something.
Microsoft did with Conker, even though that's a much less beloved character. But like people wanted a Conker game, they put him in a Project Spark, their big thing, just to kind of like introduce him into gaming culture. And now Project Spark has been shuttered and it's no longer playable.
So there we go.
Well, okay. So boom. Was it worth?
Can we talk? Can we like real talk, guys? Can we jump ship next like console generation, whatever?
Halo 6 is on PC. There's literally
there's no way
reason.
Halo 6 is not going to be on PC. They've touted this like, oh, dual play. There's no way they're going to make their flagship title part of that.
Yeah.
Halo 6 is going to be on PC.
Nothing else on
and
Xbox.
We should ditch the Xbox.
Even if there were Xbox exclusives, which there's not, because Forza, Gears, everything is now for PC. Nothing else in Xbox interests me whatsoever. It's always just been Halo. None of their other franchises have any appeal. PS4 has everything. Literally everything in this conference. God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Detroit,
my God, both of those
whatever,
games.
from
All three of those games.
Yeah,
Dude,
they had,
those three
Detroit
games
7.
were crazy. God of War, Detroit, Horizon, all those
Resident
three
Evil
games.
7.
I was excited to play all three of those games. That's the thing that got me. Oh, Days Gone. I was like, the fast zombies.
It was weird.
Okay, yeah.
Because
Funny thing about Days Gone, yeah.
They introduced it and then they did a gameplay demo later in the show. When they did the trailer, I was like, this looks kind of generic. Like
Generic.
Last of Us.
Yeah, I thought
Everybody,
really generic,
everybody's
right.
reaction to it was, "Is this Last of Us 2?"
Right.
Oh, it's just wow, this is very generic.
And
but
then
they showed
showed
that
it at
demo.
the end. The hook was the quantity
Oh.
of zombies. It was like
Though,
World
when you
War
see
Z.
those zombies charging, and then the orchestra, when they like start building
Right.
up, and the guy is stuck in the tower, and the zombies are like cornering him, and the orchestra just gets louder and louder. It's like, this is incredible.
I was like, this is so
is
amazing.
So
Oh, man.
awesome.
But you know,
They sold such a generic looking game.
the game that
Yeah.
really like stuck with me though was Detroit. I really liked the concept of that game. I really wanted to play that.
Quantic Dream's always done good stuff, except for Beyond Two Souls. People were half and half about. But like Heavy Rain, that's a classic.
It's funny
Too
that
good.
I didn't recognize the studio when they announced it, but like when they started showing gameplay, I was like, oh, this is like Heavy Rain, and lo and behold, made by the same people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was really
I
cool.
like the crime kind of drama thing. You know, I like that you're able to
androids
choose
and
the
the like.
androids.
Yeah,
the future.
I was already like hooked on the game, but then he turns around and like kind of faces the camera, and he's like talking to the guy, like the character in the game, but it's also this thing where he's talking to the audience, and he's like, you choose how this ends.
Yeah, it's up to
He's
you how
talking
the
to the
story
character,
ends.
but then they go through all the different endings, and I was like, oh, that was the greatest
That was
line ever.
I love the one where like he convinces him to like to let the girl go, and like the guy shoots. The sniper just shoots him apart. He's like, "You lied to me," and he just walks away.
You lied to me.
I was like, "Oh
It
man,
was
it's so cool!"
It was one of the
that was
most
such a good
effective
trailer.
trailers for something that I have seen recently, just really selling the potential of that game. I already mentioned it before, but like I gotta touch upon it again. Horizon Zero Dawn, that game looks phenomenal.
That game also looks
It's
so
like
awesome.
a mix of
man.
past and future,
Okay,
with Dark Souls.
that game is like the closest that I've seen to like the feeling Bionicle had. Where it had this like ancient tribal stuff, but you also like the robots and machinery. When she's riding that like mechanical bull, and you see those giant dinosaurs.
Yeah, that was
such
so
a cool moment.
It's just like it's such a cool world that you know nothing about, and you just want to know more about it. It's just like, what is going on here?
Right.
It's such a cool blend of nature and technology.
And then
that's what Bionicle used to be.
With Resident Evil 7, I mentioned Detroit was the most effective trailer I've seen recently. Resident Evil 7 was the best game reveal that I've seen.
Yeah, that was
recently.
a bomb job.
They
I
had people
loved
on the
what they
edge
did
of
with
their
the logo.
seats throughout the trailer, and people were
Oh.
like, it was PT-esque, and they did that
It was
for
very
a reason,
PT-esque.
because people love that so much. And then they were like, what could this possibly be? And the logo reveal, or like the 7 morphed into the evil.
It was so good.
I remember like when that happened, we were like 7, and it turns into like Resident Evil, and we were both like, whoa.
Whoa!
But all right,
Yep.
we are kind of skipping around. The hands down the best moment in any conference I'd seen. And when I saw that, I was cheering. I was literally cheering in my seat watching that. The one thing that could have changed, he could have waited for the platform to like come up from underneath him as he walked.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, he kind of like overstepped that. But everything
Kojima's
else,
Rockstar
Kojima,
entrance.
everybody.
I've never even played
That
a game
was the
that Kojima
funniest-
has made. but he is so highly regarded by people after all the stuff he's been through over the last year. He got that entrance.
It was amazing how this one man who's just a game director, right? Really, and he's made some great games, but like, it's amazing how this guy got plateaued up to rock star status within a year. Like, where he basically disappeared for a whole... This guy became the most famous game developer ever by doing nothing. I mean, like...
because, people knew who he was, but the fact is, the company was, like, treating him so poorly.
Right, like, he by saying doing nothing, it's not meant to, like, undervalue his work, because it's great.
He disappeared.
But it's just like, that whole year, he disappeared. Publicly, he did nothing. So it's like he comes back from the shadows and he is like a god among men.
He looks like rugged. Like been through stuff.
The freaking the lights come out and then like he's walking down the freaking platform is forming underneath.
Yeah,
his
he's
feet.
like, I'm back, and I'm like, yeah, I'm back. Yes, you are.
Everyone in the comments was like, God is here.
So
it was so right.
The entrance was far better than the actual trailer they showed for the game.
Well,
but the trailer was interesting too.
I'm not gonna say better. You know, like, the thing is, that trailer was everything I wanted from a Kojima game. I was afraid he might play it a little safe and do like, oh, is he gonna just do like PT Otohori? But I was like, what the heck is this? What is going on here? This is just... It was insane.
It was really Norman and a baby and like dead sea life.
And he's like, got a
whale.
Right. The floating people, I think, and then he has like a C-section, and it was super weird.
It's really weird. There's a lot of weird stuff. I'll wait and see what the game is, because right now I don't know what it is.
Stranding is the title, which also
very
is a little
odd name. Yeah.
Stranding.
I will say that the trailer for the game is a little underwhelming to me personally, but to be fair, it's not like you could really live up to that amount of hype.
Phantom Pain had a great first trailer. I didn't predict that he'd be able to like top that, and also PT. Yeah, there's too much expectations behind that. I felt like it was appropriately Kojima, cryptic, big, bold, and like loud.
It's a thing that like you don't forget that. It's not a thing where
that left an impression.
Some trailers are underwhelming and you forget them. This is like a trailer that I will agree with you. Like, it didn't give me anything what the game was about. As a trailer for a game, it's underwhelming, but it stuck with me, and it stuck with me in a way that most underwhelming trailers that they just won't.
So I agree there for sure. So it was an interesting trailer, but Kojima's Rockstar moment really stole the show for me as far as Sony's conference. That was such a cool moment.
The greatest E3 moment I've ever seen. The only one that even comes close was when the PS4 was given the smackdown to the Xbox One. Giant slides, like no used game restrictions.
Well, man, Fallout 4 was big for me.
Fallout 4 was great.
Fallout 4, the announcement of the Pip-Boy edition, that was big.
Yes,
and then Kingdom Hearts 3's announcement was a big one for me. Those were big moments for me. Noticeably absent from Sony. It's a great time to be a Final Fantasy fan, not so much a Kingdom Hearts fan. Square is showing a lot of love for one of their kids and not the other.
Well, people were also expecting a Red Dead Redemption 2 announcement, and we did not get that either.
People have been waiting for Versus 13 for a long while, though. So it's like,
it's true.
So I mean, like, with 15, 15 is one of those games that's like, I feel as a Final Fantasy fan, it's an actual evolution of the series, and I'm
it's
kind
funny
of sad because of that.
Everything I've seen of this new Final Fantasy game, it looks very Kingdom Hearts-y to me. TBH. Like the big giant Goliath like monster thing they're fighting and the way the combat works.
Never played Kingdom Hearts.
Looked very Kingdom Heartsy. So, I mean, because Final Fantasy always used to be turn-based, so
and there's a turn-based mode game apparently that they put in. But really, it's like Sony proved how much they knew what gamers wanted. They had the CEO, I think he was the CEO, I'm actually not too sure who was the main guy presenting, but he only came out like a couple of times to just say a few words. The only other person they really had on stage was Kojima, who people really wanted to hear from. So, and
that was the thing.
That was
the thing. Sony's conference, there was no BS that we had to sit through.
Right.
It was game after game after game after game, Kojima, and then more games.
Even if the announcements were cryptic, they were there and they were on. There was a nonstop barrage of them. And the presentation was on point. Oh, we haven't even talked about Spider-Man.
Oh man, Spider-Man.
Or The Last Guardian.
Okay, Last Guardian. I'm excited.
I don't care about Last Guardian too much. I'm really happy for the people that are happy.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
But man, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man,
Okay,
by the way,
I wanna
was
talk about
unsure
Spider-Man.
this. I should have guessed, because, like, they didn't even give a title, it was hashtag Spider-Man PS4, but, it has been revealed since it is a PS4 exclusive. It is
because Insomniac Games is one of Sony's first party, but like, you have Naughty Dog, and then you have Insomniac Games right under them.
Right.
Like, this is a big deal. That's a really reputable developer that they've gotten to work on a Spider-Man
Well,
game.
because here's the deal. Polygon did this article about it. Marvel Studios has finally, like, they made a mandate that said we are no longer going to do, like, terrible games. We're not going to do crappy games anymore. They want their games to be as good as their movies. And so they started this new content initiative to get good games done. And they also said that they're no longer going to do video game tie-ins anymore and for their movies. Like, obviously Spider-Man is coming out around the same time that the Spider-Man movie's coming out, but it's like,
it's got a similar
it's like Arkham
concept.
Asylum.
Spidey,
Yeah, it's like
looks
Arkham
visibly
Asylum
different.
and the Dark Knight also came out in the same year, but they're very different games. Just based around the same character.
By the way, I know it's
different games.
polarizing.
Yeah, they're different things, different universes.
Not many people are going crazy about it, but I really like the White Spider.
I like it too.
I like it too.
I thought it looked fun.
I
I'm just
wanted to be the main MCU costume, but it's cool for like this different kind of game.
Yeah, I liked it.
They have confirmed it's going to take place in Sony universe. I've said for the longest time, Spider-Man's great for a game. They haven't figured out like how to really nail that formula down.
And they kept giving it to Beanox, which, to be fair, Beanox always did their best, but they were just too small of a studio to really do the game justice.
Right.
From what
And
it
they're
sounds
always
to me, it
tied
sounds
to like the
franchise
movies and
started off
stuff.
strong, and then like it kind of went down as the years went on with Beanox. Like, it was really cool at the start.
Spider-Man,
and
like,
then they released
Well,
more games,
it's because
and worse
Beanox
and
is a
worse.
port developer. They're not a game developer. That's the thing. Like their studio is the proper size to make ports of games. So
Right.
like you get like a console version, you port it over to PC. That's what they are supposed to do. Sony kept giving them this big IP Spider-Man and making them do custom games all the time, and it just was not. It's not the kind of thing for them.
Mm-hmm.
So they did their best. I can give them credit where credit's due, but their games just weren't good enough.
Right. And like you play I remember playing Spider-Man 2 on the PS2. And I'm really excited to play Spider-Man on the PS4 because that was like playing it with a PlayStation controller is to me the ultimate Spider-Man experience.
I'm happy it's coming out. Can't go wrong with Spider-Man.
And they have to nail Spider-Man. They really do. They have to nail that.
Listen, this is the studio behind Ratchet and Clank.
They're gonna do it.
It's gonna be a good game.
It's gonna be
I can't
good.
imagine this not being a good game.
It would be
like that.
so-
That is one of their top developers. I can't believe they assigned such a big developer to Spider-Man. It's crazy. Never thought I'd see the day.
Spider-Man is going to be amazing, and I'm really looking forward to that because I've wanted a good Spider-Man game for so long.
That was how they ended it. They ended it with Spider-Man. No title. Hashtag Spider-Man PS4.
Yeah, no title yet,
So,
but I mean,
Working
I'm-
title is what they call it.
I hope they
but
just call it
the-
Spider-Man. Just no BS.
I think they do.
Spider-Man.
Just Spider-Man.
So,
Real quick before we end up,
Spider Knight,
we wrap up.
Spider City,
I want to talk about Nintendo a little
Spider Asylum.
bit because they did Pokemon Sun and
what
Moon, and
Nintendo?
they
You mean
did,
Zelda?
and basically Zelda, which I am like crazy about. Zelda, like they actually did everything people have been wanting from Zelda. It's an open world. It's got all this stuff. It plays a bit more like. Not really Skyrim, like an normal open world game, with more puzzles and more.
From what I have heard about it,
it
it seems that they've taken a lot of inspiration from modern day RPGs and action games,
Right.
and people comparing it to Dark Souls.
right.
Some people to like current action games, which is a good step. For
Dark
the
Souls
series.
is a good example, but it's such a great like step forward for that franchise. The map is completely open world, and it's about 12 times the size of Twilight Princess, which is huge in Zelda terms. They say you can kind of go anywhere you want to. It's much more sparse. There isn't like a huge opening tutorial like there used to be. They've really fixed a lot of the things that people are having, like problems people had with the Zelda games, especially the last one, Skyward Sword. And I'm really looking forward to see what they do with the franchise. And just watching that gameplay, it was so beautiful to see. So I'm excited.
Most definitely. So that was E3. It was quite the show. It's a roller coaster ride. Some stuff worked, some stuff didn't, some stuff we didn't get enough answers to. I would say probably Sony did the best job, followed by, I'll say Bethesda, and then Microsoft, Ubisoft, EA, and Nintendo didn't have a conference. So it's like, Go figure. But all in all, everybody except EA did pretty good, I would say. They brought their A game, they had some solid titles, some misses here and there, some hardware announcements, big push on VR. We completely forgot to mention Sony, by the way, didn't even mention VR. Star Wars Space Combat in VR.
Oh man, yeah.
Batman Arkham by Rocksteady with Mark Hamill Joker. I thought I'd never hear that again. VR.
I know, right?
Have you heard of like the thing with the VR, like what the
Call
game
of
is?
Duty actually looks good.
They've clearly taken up the Hugh Jackman school of I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, Michael Bay. But what about VR?
Or Michael Bay. They all went to the same university.
There's a like they put it in the article, so I guess it's fair game to talk about. But the game apparently involves the death of Nightwing. And like you are Batman, and you have to investigate how Nightwing died, and you do this investigation thing where you look at the clues and do all that kind of stuff.
Spoilers,
but like you can rewind. Oh, it's the premise of the game.
That's a big thing to spoil on the premise, but it does make sense because it was the Joker talking about like one bad day turn you crazy or whatever. And,
right. Well, I mean, yeah, I saw it in the article and stuff.
Batman.
So like you could like replay it, I guess, and see that.
It also makes sense it would be detective oriented because it'll probably be first person detective mode-esque kind of stuff. So fair enough. Can't go wrong with more Rocksteady Arkham. And they showed off Call of Duty, and it was like sequenced in the VR section, and it was hilarious because number one, I don't think it's VR, and number two, I saw people in the stream chat. It was great. They were like, "Oh, this actually looks great. What game is this?" There's like space combat and grappling hooks in space, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah,
and they were like, "Oh, it's Call of Duty. Ooh, I don't want that. It's Call of Duty." So, I think the deal with Infinite Warfare, if it was any other franchise, people would be on board with this. But Call of Duty has too much of a negative stigma
that is weird.
at this point.
I saw that gameplay and I was like, "This is really cool." I'm not a COD fan, and the game looks
really good. It's just weird that they decided to make this COD.
That's what everyone feels. It's not what the series actually is. It's not what people want from the series. The series is not loved by many people currently. They've run it into the ground. Why did you have to make it Call of Duty?
Yeah, it's like at this point, is it really like why not just make a new IP now?
I don't know.
This game is so far from what the first Call of Duty game was.
Branding. That's all it is. Meanwhile, Battlefield 1's returned to historical roots, which looks phenomenal. So that is that.
Sony won, and you want to know why?
Huh?
I never once saw an idiot working on a stupid computer Cintiq bullcrap in that conference.
Oh yeah, that
Sony
was nice.
won.
Sony won. Xbox One, more like Sony won.
Don't you mean Xbox Ones?
Yeah, that. Multiple now.
Xbox Ones.
Oh boy.
No, I mean like Xbox One S.
Oh yeah. That's true. Well, either way, that's E3. Had a fun time. What are your thoughts on the games that were announced, and the hardware, and the new wave of VR, and all sorts of stuff?
It's a long episode.
Yeah, it is. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, or on the TTV Message Boards at board.ttvchannel.com. And we'll see you all next week for the next exciting episode of TTV Talks. I'm Meso.
I'm Barteran. I mean Mickey.
And I'm Kahi.
And farewell, everybody. Well, that was fun. I forgot to mention the stupid people in the EA conference twisting their heads all around playing that VR game. Oh well. Farewell, everybody.